Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie and welcome to day 5 of Bookmas.
Have you seen such a beautiful sight? Everyone's feeling jolly tonight.
Today's video is going to be a November reading wrap up. I read 10 books in November. Let's talk about them. The first book I finished in November was Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter. This is the sequel to Better Than the Movies. It's a young adult romance, and I already talked about this book and a few of the other books in this video in reading vlogs. I'll link it right here if you want to hear my in-depth thoughts. The conclusion I've come to with young adult books, not all of them, again, not all of them, just some. Young adult books aren't for me. I should know that because I'm not a young adult, but I just need to stop reading young adult books and expecting it to be the most life-changing, time-bending romance ever written, because that will never be the case. Well, except for one book that I'm gonna talk about in this video that is young adult. I am a hypocrite. Hey, at least she's self-aware, right? I wasn't a big fan of the first book, so you may be asking me, why did you read the second book? But I listened to it as an audiobook, and it was for a new release reading vlog I was filming, so I figured it can't hurt. But honestly, it hurt. It felt like a waste of time after 50%. You never get to see these characters together because they're going through like so many different things. They're breaking up, they're not together, they're getting back together. They're never together in the books. And I know that's how most rom-coms end, where you assume they get together and live happily ever after. But you never see these two happy longer than 2 minutes. I need more than just cutesy stuff. I need more than references to popular rom-com movies. I need depth and I need spice. Who said that? Seriously, guys, who said that? I'm gonna look back when editing this and hate that. Okay, that's that. Second book I read, also in a reading vlog, Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. This is only the second book I've read by Miss Sally. The only other book I've read by her is Normal People. And these two books of hers are very different. Similar in the writing style, that you really feel for these characters. You get to know the characters, they have flaws, but there's like not too much happening in the story. There was a lot of pain in here. It was heavy. Just not my favorite book I've ever read. I feel like I could recommend this to someone though, if I know exactly what they're looking for. I would be able to tell you everything about this book. I don't know what I just said. All of this sounds stupid. Nobody's gonna watch this video, whatever. Next, I read Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This was actually a reread. I picked this up because I was feeling slumpy again. I had a big reading slump in September and October, and I just needed something quick and light and happy. And wait, this is literally another young adult book that I love, even though I was just trashing young adult books. But I did make a disclaimer, not all young adult books, okay? This young adult book I love. I love the graphic novels. If you're not aware, Heartstopper is a young adult graphic novel series that follows Nick and Charlie throughout high school and their friend group. It's also a TV show. One of my favorite TV shows of all time. This book, Nick and Charlie, is actually different from the graphic novels because this is a novella. It's 120 pages. There aren't pictures. Well, there are, but it's writing, you know, it's not mainly a graphic novel. It's adorable. It's just what I needed. I just wanted to finish a book. I wanted to feel something. It made me smile. And if you guys are chronically online or chronically on TikTok, this book, or specifically the audiobook, is where the sound comes from. That's like, here, I took a screenshot of it. I have been going out with Nick Nelson for 2 years. He likes rugby, Formula One, dogs, the Marvel Universe, the sound felt tips make on paper, rain, and drawing on shoes. He also likes me. That's where this comes from, if you're wondering, if you've been reading the Heartstopper books and you're like, where is that coming from? It's coming from this one. I've also read Solitaire. You should definitely read all of the novellas. I think there's another one called This Winter, and then Loveless is another one. I haven't read that one yet. I love this series. Then I read the young adult book I was talking about, but honestly, Heartstopper and this next book are just amazing young adult stories. So I'm sorry, Lynn Painter, that I just kind of did you dirty like that. I reread The Fault in Our Stars, and I reread it for Bookmas day 3, I think. So if my math is mathing, that video's already up. Watch this video first and then go watch that one, because that goes into great detail about my love for The Fault in Our Stars. I read it for the first time in high school. I went to the midnight premiere of the movie. I live in Amsterdam now, not because of my love for The Fault in Our Stars, because if you don't know, the book takes place in Indiana and also Amsterdam. My husband and I were transferred here for his job, but it's just kind of funny that I do live in Amsterdam and that book has meant so much to me from a very young age. That whole video is basically a love letter to The Fault in Our Stars, and go watch it if you love that book. It's still 5 stars, okay? That book stands the test of time. That is a timeless love story. I'm kind of joking, but I'm kind of not, okay? I just have a lot of nostalgia surrounding that book and the memories surrounding it, okay? So just leave me alone. Next, I read Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. This is a summer romance. It is about Allie and Ethan, and I really like the tropes in this book. I don't want to spoil it for you because I think it was kind of surprising for me. It was like a quick reveal, but not right away, about how the characters know each other. So I don't want to spoil that for you guys, but you should definitely read it. There was a lot more to this book than just a summer romance, and I know the author makes that well known. In the back of the book, she was talking about how she always includes a marriage, a mortgage, and kids. And that is true for this book. And I also believe all of those elements were in the first book I read by her, which was Nora Goes Off Script. These are wholesome romances with, like I said, a little bit more heaviness to it. They definitely have a relatable aspect to them. When I say them, I just mean all of her books, even though I've only read 2. There's no spice. It's basically a Hallmark movie. You could recommend these books to anyone that wants to read a fun romance. Check this book out. This is definitely my favorite of the 2 books I've read by this author. Next, I read When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanithi. Paul was a doctor who found out he had terminal cancer. He actually died while writing this book, so it is really heavy. You also get to hear from his wife at the end to see like a kind of different perspective of grief. And I definitely recommend this book, but it made me very, very sad, and there were definitely parts that were hard to read. So just be aware. I listened to it as an audiobook. Not that it matters, but I'm the worst booktuber ever because I forgot to show this book while I was talking about it. Next, I read Red Rising by Pierce Brown, and surprise, I read this book for a reading vlog for Bookmas. I don't think that is up yet though. Maybe tomorrow? I don't know. Why don't you guys just subscribe and come back and watch my YouTube videos so I can be a millionaire? That'd be greatly appreciated. Oh no, it's already up. And I read it to surprise Sam. Sam is my husband, and Red Rising is one of his favorite books. He's been begging me to read it, and I told him I don't really know if it's my thing. So he wasn't expecting me to read it, and I did read it, and I surprised him. So go see his reaction and watch that video to kind of hear more of my thoughts about the book. But for the sake of this video, I'm just gonna tell you my hypothesis was correct. I don't think it's for me, but I can appreciate the story. The beginning definitely got my attention, but after that I felt like it was a little slow at times. Is that fair? Then I read Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, and man, this book was fun. Okay, let's say fun. There's nothing like reading a fun book that just captures your attention, and that's exactly what this dark romance did. Personally, I loved all elements of it though. The spice, the story, the characters. I think it was a good book, okay? I listened to it as an audiobook, and I definitely recommend that because the narrators are amazing. Yes, this is a spicy book, like let that be known, but I swear there was plot to this. There was a lot of plot to this. I liked the story. I liked the characters' relationship. The spice is spicing. If you want a spicy book, here you go, okay? Here you go. You're welcome. Next, I read I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Harpman. And I am so conflicted on this book because I thoroughly enjoyed every single second of it. I felt so entertained the whole time, and yet not much happened. Please comment down below if you've read this book, because I don't know how to explain it other than that. The beginning hooked me, but then not much happened after that. And I get it, like I've done some deep diving on Reddit and stuff. That's the point of the book. I saw someone say this sentence and it definitely explains kind of how I'm feeling. The story is so well written and the plot is so interesting that you entirely forget about the heavy prose. And that is very true. The beginning of the book is very dark, and I'll actually read you a passage from it when I get my voice back. What the heck? The beginning starts off very dark, and honestly the whole book is very dark, but the author does such a great job of making this kind of seem normal, and I don't know if that was her point of it or whatnot. I'm not entirely sure I get it, so I'm sorry. I feel like I should not be talking at all because what am I even saying? Basically, I understand parts of it and I promise I understand it. I'm just not gonna explain it because it's a spoiler. But there are also parts that I do not get. It went right over my head. And let me read you the summary of the book. As far back as I can recall, I have been in the bunker. A young woman is kept in a cage underground with 39 other females guarded by armed men who never speak. Her crimes unremembered, if indeed there were crimes. The youngest of 40, a child with no name and no past, she survives for some purpose long forgotten in a world ravaged and wasted. In this reality where intimacy is forbidden, in the unrelenting sameness of these artificial days and nights, she knows nothing of books and time, of needs and feelings. Then everything changes. And nothing changes. I did not know that was in the summary. That just explains everything a little bit better. So I'm not crazy. A young woman who has never known men. Wouldn't that be a world? A child who knows of no history before the bars and restraints must now reinvent herself piece by piece in a place she has never been and in the face of the most challenging and terrifying of unknowns, freedom. So it's very dystopian, but you almost forget about that once you start reading the book. That's all I'm saying. I definitely recommend. How about that? I recommend this book so that way you can come back and comment on this video and explain to me what exactly happened in this book. Okay, I beg of you. Thank you. Then the last book I read this month was Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. And I loved it. 5 stars. I don't want to say too much about it because surprise, reading vlog coming soon. It was so wholesome while also tackling really hard topics, one of them being mental health, but I loved it. I highlighted so much of this book. It was very relatable. Now I want to read every book Frederick Bachman has ever published because this was amazing. And now I'm just gonna briefly mention a few other books that I read between the months of August and October, but never talked about. And those books are Grey After Dark. This is such a good thriller. I've read Frida McFadden's newest release, which is The Boyfriend, and I really liked it, okay? I've been disappointed by a few of Frida's books in the past, but I enjoy most of her work. Is it the most exciting, mind-bending thriller I've ever read? No, but I can turn my brain off and appreciate the story, okay? So recommend that one. And then I also read Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulik. So good. So good. I'm not even gonna say anything about it. Go read it. You'll read it in a day. I promise. It's that good. Okay, I must shut up now. Thank you guys so much for watching my November wrap up. Please, 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 please don't forget to like and most importantly, subscribe down below. I would love to hit 1,000 subscribers before the new year. And I really hope you guys will stick around because I just love to yap about books and I'm gonna do that whether I have 3 subscribers or 3 million, preferably 3 million. Okay, see you next time. Bye.